Thanks for joining. So welcome to today's Chartered Institute of Logistics and Transport Singapore webinar. We're thrilled to have you join us in this first session for a very relevant and forward-looking discussion, especially for supply chain professionals navigating the challenges and opportunities of the digital age, right? My name is Eddie, and I'm a board member of CILTS and also the moderator for this webinar. Our topic today, the digital supply chain trends and technologies, couldn't be more timely. As global supply chains face increasing complexity, uncertainty, and customer expectations, digital transformation is no longer a nice to have, but a strategic imperative. From artificial intelligence and machine learning to IoT, blockchain, automation, digital twin, and cloud platforms, technology is reshaping how we plan, execute, and optimize our supply chains. We're joined by a panel of industry experts who will share their real-world experiences, success stories, and lessons learned. Whether you're in operations, procurement, IT, or logistics strategy, this webinar will equip you with the valuable takeaways and hopefully start you on the journey towards future-proofing your supply chain through digital transformation. Let me introduce our three speakers, Ms. Chen Yuning from Cargo Community Network, Mr. Hira Ku from the SALT Systems, and Adjunct Professor Ko Chun Seong of SIT. So we will start off with Ms. Chen from CCN. Ms. Chen is the head of strategic partnership at CCN. She has extensive experience in supply chain management, operations, and strategic planning. She's also an accomplished practitioner, having spent time on the airline and freight forwarding operations. So, Ms. Chen, please, on your...
Thank you, Eddie.
Okay.
Thank you, Eddie, and good afternoon, good morning, good evening to everyone. Welcome and thank you for attending this webinar series on the digital supply chain, trends and technologies. My name is Yuning, and I'm excited to share insights from Cargo Community Network. Okay. Please let me know if you can see my screen. Okay. A brief and quick intro about Cargo Community Network, or CCN. We have been a technology enabler for the air cargo community since 1991. Our platform is designed to provide fully integrated end-to-end services for all stakeholders in the air cargo industry. We have a robust user community of over 18,000 users, 20 over ground handling agents, and more than 100 airlines. Our platform handles more than 200 million annual transactions, connecting various groups and partners globally. For my presentation today, I would like to cover several key topics. The first topic will be to discuss a little bit on the fundamental step to kickstart digitalization within the logistics industry. Next, I'll be touching on the criticality of digitizing data at source. Lastly, I'll be sharing with you on the collaboration platform Cube for All by CCN, where we focus on data reuse and data sharing. Digitization is critical in modernizing shipping documents. Starting with digitization, in our opinion, is the first step towards digitalization, which will then help you transform your business processes and improve your efficiencies. Some statistics. 2/3 of shipping and logistics firms, they have a formal digital transformation strategy. Digitalization is not limited to supply chain people. It benefits everyone within the organization, from operational departments all the way to finance, HR, and admin, with overall enhancing productivity and efficiency. I'm sure that digital transformation is now a hot topic within many of your organizations, especially post-COVID, where we have seen a shift in working environments, and many tasks now are being completed remotely, and various digital tools are being adopted to help us in our daily jobs. Let's zoom into our industry. The question is our data ready? Are we ready to embark on digital transformation journeys when paperwork and manual data entry is still largely prevalent across the various processes? The first key critical step to starting a digitalization journey is to have digitized data, clean and accurate data. There's no point if the data is a mess, right? Garbage in, garbage out. We know that the most commonly used shipping documents are the commercial invoice, the packing list, and the bill of lading or airway bills in the air freight industry. These documents, they make up the fundamental source of information for many of the downstream processes. For example, the customs declaration process or to purchase cargo insurance. Let's consider this idea. If the fundamental documents can be digitized at source, perhaps with the tools of OCR technology, the data can be ingested by a collaboration platform that will supply the relevant data for any downstream use. I would like to take this opportunity to introduce the Cube for All platform and use one of our latest use case to visualize what I've just discussed. Cube for All by CCN is an open data collaboration platform that is capable of seamless data sharing across users, companies, and applications. Let me share some context in the Singapore landscape today, especially on customs data exchange. On the government level, customs data exchange is quite limited. There's only data for certificate of origin being exchanged via the National Trade Platform. On the enterprise level, typical freight forwarders' in-house freight management systems have limited shipment data elements. There's often a need for manual data entry to create a customs declaration, requiring supplementary data from the 3 basic shipping documents that we have mentioned just now. So, what is the core offering of the digital solution that we are talking about today? Q4All's integrated cross-border customs solution covers 3 key steps. First, the digitization of shipping documents via OCR technology. Of course, we know that the air freight industry is a little bit more advanced at the origin. There may be digital airway bills or FWBs, where there's already standard data elements present. However, the commercial invoice and packing list, they often come in PDF formats, and we will need to digitize the data in order to pick out the relevant ones that can be used for subsequent processes. Riding on to the connected services within the Cube4All platform, we will be able to output the declaration file types required by customs. Users will just need to log in to the front-end application to confirm the data before sending it through. In the meanwhile, the data that was digitized will be stored within the platform. So for example, the import counterparty will be able to see the shared data to use the same set of data for the import declarations. Let's follow the data journey together. So at source, we will get the international shipping documents such as the invoice, packing list, master and house way bills. These documents can be sent through email or through uploads to the Q4All platform. The Q4All platform, through the OCR technology, we will digitize the documents, and using our existing services such as the TradeNet Pro, we will be able to output a customs declaration file that can be ingested directly by the Singapore Customs TradeNet. After TradeNet receives this customs declaration, the permit, if issued, will be able to be sent back into our TradeNet. With the same set of data that has been digitized in the Q4All platform, overseas forwarders can also reuse the data for their customs import declaration. One country's export is another country's import. Most of the data can be completely reused for the purpose of customs declaration, with minimal involvement from the users. So that was just one of the data collaboration use cases that we have looked at. With digitized data at source, business processes can be largely improved as adoption of technological solutions will be made much easier. I would like to share a little bit on the data sharing methods that are being adopted by the Cube4All platform. On top of the conventional ways of data sharing via services and API, Cube4All is also One Record compliant. One Record is an initiative by the International Air Transport Association that establishes a unified data model for information sharing. This new data model will be the future of data sharing within the air cargo industry, as it allows real-time synchronization of secured data across all stakeholders of a shipment. And Cube4All enables all of our users to be One Record ready, as data is being stored and exchanged on our platform in compliance with its standards. As you can see from the slide, there are various use cases that are being listed with the digital data that we have extracted. You can use it for warehouse management systems, freight management systems, IoT and customs declarations. The data can be used to create bookings with airlines, can be used to purchase cargo insurance through digital platforms, etc. The Cube4All platform, it is an open data platform that supports mass digitalization. It allows cross-user and cross-service data sharing, transforming siloed data into a synchronized, accessible format. As illustrated, our product offerings covers the end-to-end supply chain journey, and we are constantly on the lookout for new partners to fill in any missing gaps. With digitization steps in mind, CCN's Cube4All platform aims to enable seamless data collaboration and digital transformation for our community. With that, I end my presentation. Thank you for your attention, and do feel free to reach out to us if you want to discuss further on digitization and digitalization for your company. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Yuning, can we switch back to... Thank you. So let's hold off the Q&A until the presentation is over. So we are taking note prior to the webinar. We receive a list of questions, and we will continue to take questions. Be aware that we will probably not be able to address all questions during this webinar. But we endeavor to come back to you, after the webinar is over. All the questions will be answered, and then we will post it in the CILTS website. So that one will be for you to log in and to check at a later date, right? So, okay, allow me to now introduce the next speaker. Ms. Kool is Vice President, Global Business Services at the SALT Systems, which includes logistics and financial services. Together with her worldwide team of experts, she's developing solutions in the area of virtual twin technology that the SALT Systems is known for, and supporting logistics and supply chain customers to transform themselves. So, Ms. Kool, please, over to you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, absolutely honored to be joining you and to be able to share my perspectives on digital twin technology for supply chain optimization. My name is Tahira Kool, and as Eddie mentioned, Vice President of Business Services Industry. And in the next 15 minutes, we're going to learn not only how Dassault Systems leads from a virtual twin approach, but also how our generative 7 pillars announced earlier this year will play a pivotal role in transforming our customers and this industry. Now, as the 3D Experience company, we are a provider of virtual worlds for real life. As a purpose-driven company, we think of progress and innovation in terms of balance and impact. As we create value, what are we taking from our planet? Harmonizing product, nature, and life lies at the heart of everything we do and what we bring to the world. We have over 25,000 passionate people from 142 countries across the globe who are at the heart of the company, and people sharing the same values, the same passion for innovation. We also have a very large R&D team connected across the 76 laboratories. We collaborate with 14,000 technology sales services, education and research platforms to increase our collective knowledge and reach. And today, with 350,000 customers in 12 industries worldwide, we have 45.3 million users. A fundamental aspect of Dassault Systems is partnering with clients who are leaders in their own industry segment on the cutting edge of technology and answering tomorrow's market needs, whether they may be big, large industry references or indeed startups or shakers. Clients and users are both game-changing the real world that we live in. In today's digital transformation, digital twins and virtual twins are often mentioned as similar concepts. A digital twin is a virtual representation of a physical object or system. For instance, digital twin of a locomotive might simulate the performance of the locomotive itself, considering its internal systems like engines, brakes, fuel consumption. The virtual twin, on the other hand, goes beyond a digital twin. It not only replicates the physical characteristics, but provides a more immersive, interactive experience of the entire environment by simulating the entire operational environment and interactions surrounding the object, which can be tested using real-time and experimental data. For example, virtual twin of a locomotive would simulate the entire network, including the fleet, crew, schedules, yard operations, and service network, optimizing the entire operations in real time and under different conditions. It allows to simulate operational scenarios like emergency braking, train dynamics, and aerodynamics for stronger, reliable operations. Dassault Systems, we've been working with customers to transform our customers and actually ourselves too, where we started out in the early 80s as a digital 3D design, moving to digital mock-up. And then we coined the term the 3D PLM, or Product Lifecycle Management. And with that came the birth of the 3D Experience platform in 2012, where the idea and the notion of bringing all key stakeholders, all data, all suppliers, the information, collaboration into a single source of truth. And with that, we took it to cities to build virtual twins of cities through to virtual twins of humans. And earlier this year, we announced 3D universes and the generative 7 pillars. I love this slide and I love this quote. The line between disorder and order lies in logistics. A famous Chinese quote from The Art of War, and it takes on a profound significance in the context of the current global trade war. Geopolitical tensions disrupt traditional supply routes, raise tariffs, and create uncertainty across international markets. Logistics becomes the critical factor that determines whether companies can maintain operational stability or fall into chaos. Of course, I'm sure I don't need to tell you about the challenges in supply chain and logistics, which have intensified in recent years due to a combination of the global disruptions and evolving market demands. And these geopolitical tensions have created volatility in cross-border trade. We are seeing the aftermath still of COVID-19 pandemic in terms of labor shortages, port congestions, and transportation delays. Additionally, rising fuel costs demand unpredictability and the pressure to adopt sustainable practices further complicate operations. Companies also face increasing cybersecurity risks and technological integration issues as they attempt to digitize their supply chains. Together, these challenges underscore the urgent need for innovation, agility, strategic planning in logistics management, which also needs to think about the future of work and how to attract the next generation of talent as well. Some of those key questions in the minds of C-level executives in supply chain and logistics can be seen here. How to gain better visibility of flows of goods, information, and transactions across supply chain. How to minimize economic losses across the entire supply chain. How to ensure supply chain integrity and compliance as it moves from source to destination. And also ensuring operational efficiency, effectiveness while planning for sustainable supply chains. Today, how do we ensure disruption management given the geopolitical tensions? Before I joined Dassault Systems, I have to be honest, and this was over 9 years ago, the only logistics I was aware of was the logistics of planning my 3 daughters' after school and weekend activities. And what a nightmare that was. Of course, they all drive now, so that's over with. But seriously, logistics is indeed an incredibly complex and broad activity spanning all of these different modes of transport that we are dealing with at Dassault Systems with our customers. When we think about it, logistics cost is a major component of a nation's economy and expressed as a percentage of gross domestic product or GDP. It makes up 13% of the world's GDP and is responsible for 13% of direct CO2 emissions. And when we break it down to developed nations, typically it's around 7 to 9% of GDP. We see more efficient infrastructure, technology adoption, and optimized logistics networks. But when we look at developing nations, this can be as high as 12 to 18% of GDP, largely due to fragmented supply chains, infrastructure gaps, and higher inefficiencies. And within these highly complex organizations, we have to ensure the right fleet, the right crew, the workforce, facilities at the right time, working in harmony of each other. This is crucial to building in efficiencies and cost savings. When we talk about the fleet, we're talking about trucks, ships, planes, and trains that are responsible for the physical movement of goods across regions. Crew, including drivers, operators, warehouse staff, and logistics coordinators to ensure timely handling of transport and management of cargo, often having to make real-time decisions in dynamic conditions. Meanwhile, facilities, assets, rail yards, terminals, warehouses, distribution centers, and cross-docking terminals provide essential infrastructure for storage, consolidation, and inventory management. Together, these elements must be synchronized and optimized to minimize delays, reduce costs, and maintain high service levels. Any disruption in one can impact the entire logistics chain, highlighting their interdependencies and strategic importance. So reducing logistics costs through digitization and improved planning, such as with virtual twins, can significantly boost economic competitiveness and sustainability by design, model, simulate, plan, optimize the entire network as virtual twin of operations. Let's give you an example of how we apply virtual twins, I'm going to show you a video to show you in the example of rail freight maintenance.
Rolling stock MRO for rail operators is evolving as maintenance systems become more sophisticated and datasets grow exponentially. Rail operators must go full steam ahead, connecting data, people, and processes to tackle digital maintenance challenges. Explore the virtual twin experience for smart fleet and rolling stock maintenance to bridge the gap between the virtual world and the real world on a single integrated platform. Leverage big data insights and simulate maintenance scenarios with virtual twins of physical assets to reduce turnaround times and cost, laying the groundwork for predictive and prescriptive maintenance, and never derail from performance. Managing operational complexities using legacy systems and spreadsheets is no longer viable. It's time to switch gears and make precise, data-driven decisions that accelerate fleet availability and safety. Stay on the right track and keep your trains running longer now with the 3D Experience platform. Discover more.
And a virtual twin can help drive sustainability. So staying with rail, we're working with some of the major rail freight operators to improve fuel efficiency for various car configurations by reducing the aerodynamic drag. We're also helping to ensure greater safety to prevent rollover by determining the safe operating speeds. And this goes hand in hand with maintenance and reliability, such as wheel wear management and intercoupler durability. Moving from rail freight to maintenance of warehouses, to warehouses, which is also a critical infrastructure for logistics and supply chains. And we ask ourselves, how can warehouse operations be transformed into profit centers while balancing sustainability, efficiency, and resilience in an increasingly automated, space-constrained, and challenging customer requirements? Leveraging our generative 7 pillars, a virtual twin can be applied to the domains of design, modeling, and simulating multi-physics systems of a warehouse. It enables advanced planning and optimization for the planning and scheduling within the warehouse, and also empowers the organization with real-time view through our data science and analytics capability. So how can organizations work with virtual twins, I hear you ask, especially if they do not necessarily have the skills and the team needed to handle this complex software and solve these issues effectively? Well, we've thought about this, and this is where our virtual twin as a service comes in. And this video explains very well how resource constrained or indeed non-technical organizations can really gain value.
Time is priceless in your everyday life. So why should it be any different in your business? That's right, it shouldn't. Introducing Virtual Twin as a service, the cutting-edge solution to accelerate your digital capabilities. A new kind of shortcut, a fast lane to make tomorrow happen today. Just like that. Yes, because that's what shortcuts do. Deliver value faster. Shortcuts can make huge challenges look smaller. Disrupt traditional business models with new thinking. Help startups get off the ground and scale up faster. Adapt global production for resiliency. Turn long-term goals into short-term wins. Forget step by step. Think shortcuts at every step. You could create a new tech innovation, spend months to train all your staff, spend a year to implement it, and you could finally start to produce value. Wait, just create value. Long story short, turn challenges into innovation, take the fast track to achieve your digital capabilities, and take the shortcut to value. Virtual Twin as a service, shortcut to value.
And talking of value, it is all about business value. And some of the clients that we've been working with have told us about the value that we're bringing to them. So example, freight trains, which are renowned for being late, where punctuality has increased from 80% to 95%, and that return on investment in less than a year. Waiting times in ports minimized by 35%, 15% reduction in mileage, and 8% reduction in tour duration for trucking. Also 12% on savings and operation costs. So you can see the value that we are generating through our solutions and our virtual twin approach. Selection of some of our customers across the multimodal forms of transport are listed here. And now just to summarize, we know that the entire supply chains are interconnected. This includes the various areas of demand planning, raw material supply, production and workforce planning, inventory management, production, workforce scheduling, transportation, costs, or in the need for customer demand fulfillment to ensure on quality, on time, on budget, and to meet sustainability objectives. The virtual twin is a fundamental step change in how supply chain and logistics will be managed in the future. The fully integrated approach is essential to bring about efficiencies, reduce costs, and manage the full life cycle. Thank you so much for your attention, and I assume we're going to take questions at the end. Over to you.
Thanks, Tira. So I guess we'll take questions, but I'm sure there are a lot of questions around this new technology of virtual twin and digital twin. It is something that perhaps a few years ago it's probably not something that we can talk about. So with the advancement of technology, I guess this is really taking off right now. So to sum it all up, I have adjunct Professor Koh, who's a seasoned digital transformation practitioner, and he is with the Singapore Institute of Technology. He has a lot of extensive experience in logistics, supply chain, aviation, and rail transport. His motto is very simple: better, faster, cheaper. And we always ask ourselves, is it really possible to have better, faster, cheaper? Well, he believes so. So, he can show you how operational efficiency with PPT works. So, over to you, Prof. Koh.
Thanks, Eddie. I've leading up to this webinar, I am, Eddie, I have this question. Why did you put me as the last presenter? It's a very scary thing, and I will probably speak on behalf of all our participants here. After being excited by what Yuning shared, and also what was shared so much about virtual twin that Dassault has, and then you listen to someone from academia, it really sounds scary, but really to what Eddie have shared, I actually have my bag full of wounds, sweat, and blood from spending time on the ground in logistics. I think that is where I think there is a lot of potential for digital technology in transforming how we work today. And I want to very much share not a thesis, if you will, on how digital transformation can transform your operations, but really to share candidly how maturity in technology can really make a difference in the day-to-day operational challenge that we face in the supply chain. Okay, are we able to see my slides? Alrighty. Okay. Okay, very much, understanding that all of us are logisticians, we are very practical people. Anything that we hear that doesn't seem to make sense, we'll be the first one to throw it out of the room. So, which is why I would just want to kind of share very much, not from a technology perspective, but from a logistician perspective of how we can understand what is going on in this whole digital realm. NASA actually came out with better, cheaper, faster. So, Eddie, it is not me. But it was NASA that actually came up with this methodology or maxim, if you will, on how can they do business in a cheaper, faster, and better manner. And of course, the backdrop to that, if we are fans of history, is very much during the Cold War. There is a space race. And I think NASA just want to have that as a guiding principle of how they can outdo then Soviet Union. But today it is still relevant, especially here in logistics, where everything is very much cost sensitive, and not just cost sensitive, but we need to derive the performance at a lower cost. And the question that I put forth to us here, even as I share some of these things, is really how much does the whole digital transformation it's going to cost your organization? But at the same time, what is the opportunity cost? What if, you do not get on the bandwagon? What does it then mean for you? So the why and what is really critical, even as we digest what Tahira and Yuning have shared earlier. But really at the whole start point is why and what do we want to get out of digital? What is that the whole digital enablement would actually mean for our business? The how, is really the easier part. Okay, DT stands for a lot of things nowadays. Yeah, Eddie is smiling. It can mean double tariffs or something else. Actually, it's more than double. But DT actually is not just whatever we think about tariffs, but digital twin. But I like to see it as how delivery can be transformed. And really today, digital technology is fairly mature in a sense that it remains for us here in the supply chain industry to leverage on it in order to make a difference. It is, I think, at the right time and space compared to, say, 10 years ago, that digital technology is truly able to move the needle. I love the maxim, what makes a difference? Okay, rather a difference that doesn't make a difference is not a difference. So very much here in logistics, if it doesn't make a difference, then don't waste our time. Let's get on with more important stuff. But even as we consider digital twin, I'm pretty sure most of us will look at it, from a perspective of what does it mean for my business? What does it mean for my people? And do I really need digital transformation, or it is just a fad that that costs money and probably doesn't amount to much? So the question really is, does digital technology mean for us a better today or a new tomorrow? I'm pretty sure you have your answer, but let me just continue to share. Before we embark on this whole journey, it's really about people. It's really about organization. Everybody wants change, but nobody wants to change. Nobody wants to live, or very little people wants to bear the pain during the whole change process. And even worse, sometimes as organization leaders, we are grappling between, okay, truth be told, grappling between doing what is safe, because that saved my job, or doing what might be a better deal for the company in the long run. But I might not be here in the organization long enough to actually reap the benefits. So that is a very real kind of a challenge that we all face in change management. I'd like to propose three steps. Something that's familiar to all of us in logistics, especially those who have bled over stock inventory, stock count and whatnot. So the three steps is really in terms of how do we take stock, how do we reconcile any differences, and how do we adjust the inventory in three main domains. Now, the first is really in the digital realm. Where are we today in terms of being digital? What is our infrastructure? What is the kind of hardware, software, ICT backbone infrastructure that we have to live with? Very much like what Yuning mentioned, data. Data is critical. What is the data availability? Do we have those data? I'd like to propose to us here that actually we have more data than we think we have. But what is equally important, other than data availability, is how accessible are these data? PDF, scanned, ASN, airway view, bill of lading. Okay, if you are also smiling and cursing and swearing at these things that I mentioned, we are on the same page. You can have data, but whether is it accessible, it's the other question. Now, along with useful data, there are actually a lot of stuff that we collect that is really absolutely useless, and it really takes up a lot of our process, a lot of time. Perhaps it's time to consider getting rid of it. So, taking stock of what is in the digital realm. Organization. Um, Very much really, you know best what your organization is like in terms of the leadership, in terms of the people, in terms of the demographics. Are they digital natives, or are they, digital migrants? How mature is the organization in adoption of technology? And really, the key point in my experience is really how do we harness the wisdom from the entire organization, and how do we synergize? It is not mutually exclusive between the top-down and bottom-up approach, but really how do we harmonize and synergize these strength of your organization? And not only do we want to consider what is internal within the organization, but the external ecosystem in terms of how the government, for example, is encouraging certain transformation, and also how society has shifted. For example, here in Singapore, we face an aging population and also a diminishing workforce. So how do we actually grapple with that from an organizational perspective, not just today, but also in the near or long-term perspective? What is it going to be like for our business in the next 10, 20, 30 years? And really, at the end of it, why we are even interested in this topic is what does it mean for our business? Is fixing what is broken the only approach? Is that going to be sufficient for our business to remain viable? Or, should we jump the S curve and not allow ourselves to be lulled into the complacency? Is this digital age an opportunity for us to leapfrog? I saw from some of the questions that Eddie has compiled that there is actually a lot of interest of what does it mean for SMEs. Really, I want to just offer us this thought that here in the digital realm, um, uh, it is actually an opportunity for business to leapfrog a traditional business model. And really, what I want to leave with us is that really looking at what is the opportunity and the threats, and perhaps digital transformation is more of a necessity for you tomorrow than you think it is. So, what is this whole digitalization, digital transformation? Is it merely just paving the car path, making today better, or is it really a new highway? I just want to, this is very much my last slide. I just want to leave with us, if any of us here are movie fans, um, or even if you're not, but if you imagine that you are able to know something, no matter what happens or where it happens in your organization, and assuming you have the ability to actually forecast what is going to happen, wouldn't that actually put you in a better position, especially from a logistics perspective, to anticipate and to preempt with some actionable or insights? That is what digital technology can means. I use the word can because it's not a given. Because there is once I was shared with this wisdom by a cabinet minister, without mentioning names, but he shared that there are two ways that you can lose your money very quickly. Whether yourself as individual or you as a business. The first way to lose money very quickly is called gambling. Okay. The second way to lose money very quickly is called digital. So is digitalization or data the new oil or a bottomless pit that you sink money in without getting the ROI? It very much depends on some of the points that I shared earlier. We really do not have much time here in this webinar, but I just want to leave with you that if you're even considering this journey, perhaps what is equally important than the technology that was shared earlier is perhaps the Ryzen deck why are you after these? What is it that you are after? How does success look like? And really at the end of the day, as logistician, we take a very practical, data-driven, and if I may suggest, a design thinking approach. And as we begin to envisage that outcome, I think that will actually put us in a much better position to determine what kind of technology do we need and how do we even approach this whole process of digital transformation. Thanks, Eddie. Over to you.
Thanks, Prof. Appreciate that summary and the sum up, right? And I think this whole webinar, is around a lot of talk around AI, Gen AI, but a word of caution: Gen AI is not the answer to all ills, right? And especially when I look at the questions that are coming in, a lot of the questions are around how SMEs, or for that matter, how small businesses or businesses in developing countries, how do they adopt technology? So my take to that would be, it has to be on a step by step. We cannot jump, leapfrog that quickly. So that's something that we need to be looking at. So let me start with some Q&A, right? And I think this one goes out to Ms. Khoo on digital twin. We know that, for instance, digital twin is actually a virtual representation, typically in a 3D format, that represents a physical operation. So, one of the questions that came through is, how is digital twin simulation in that sense different from say ERP systems, right? Doesn't ERP also do something similar to that? Ms. Khoo?
Hi. Okay. So the first question goes to me. Thank you. Yeah. So I think thank you first of all for the reference to virtual twin. It is something we really pride ourselves on as an organization. And actually, thinking about, how do you apply virtual twin in an organization? Where do you start? And, we use a very well-established and well-liked by our customers approach called value engagement. And value engagement is exactly as described, by Chun earlier, was that we're not here to sell you something. We want to understand our customers. We want to understand what are the key challenges, where are the blockers, what is the current as is. Yes, digitalization is a big step if you're still paper-based. And we've worked with many companies who've been at that stage and moved on to digitalization with real ROI attained. Our value engagement approach has 4 key stages of value assessment, value definition. We work with the customers. We have skin in the game. We agree with the customer. What is, first of all, where is it they want to go? Where do they want to go 1 year, 2 years, 5 years from now? What kind of value are they looking to achieve? How can we help them to achieve that? If we cannot do it, we walk away. We say, we're not the right organization to help you with this. But what if we do, and we agree together with our skin in the game in terms of, we are going to help you to build and design, develop, model, and get to the stage of simulation, testing, and validation. And that process, yes, includes starting with, once we've assessed and understood, okay, is this an approach that requires a virtual twin, for example? Is this going to maximize the value that the customer can get from a virtual twin? Or indeed, is it digitalization and not including a virtual twin? So we assess that with our customers. And leveraging, all the technology. We're a very technology-rich company. The 3D Experience platform that incorporates all of our brands, and that helps to then assess what is the solution that needs to be implemented here, or solution. What's the roadmap for the next few years? So that's kind of, if I've answered your question, how we approach the problem and the challenges for our customers.
Yeah, I think that's a very comprehensive, answer, right? Basically walking through the entire process of, how to adopt a digital twin approach, or, I think that's a very good answer. Thanks, Tahira. Okay, so the next question, we receive a couple of questions around digitization and digitalization, as well as, the practical and proven methods of digitalization in the industry. Perhaps, Yuning, you may want to take on this question.
Okay, thank you, Eddie. So at CCN, we believe that digitization of data.
You are muted.
I'm not.
No, okay. Yeah, no, I am.
That we believe that digitization of data is the first step to digitalization, right? So digitizing data does not mean just having electronic copies of the documents, but instead, the data elements themselves, they need to be interpreted meaningfully and stored to be reused or modified readily. So with the solutions on board our Cube4 platform, companies can achieve digitalization by first having their shipping documents digitized, and then the data reused by various applications to complete the operational task. So let me just give one practical and proven method of digitalization in the transport industry. Specifically for air freight, one highly digitized document is the airway bill. So the IATA e-airway bill initiative has actually reached an adoption rate of 85%. With the digitized e-airway bills, airlines can actually utilize the data for downstream operations such as pre-arrival customs reporting. This has significantly shortened the clearance time and quicker handling, as well as reduced manual data errors that may have resulted in customs penalties. So with our existing CCN solutions, for example, our booking concierge and airbill concierge, we are able to support SMEs to complete digitization by allowing them the tools to transmit these digital waybills to airlines. Thank you, Eddie.
Thanks. Okay, thanks, Yuning. I guess also with digitization, we always talk about, productivity improvements, efficiency gains. And I think this is something that we ought to look into. Okay, next question over to Prof. I have two questions that are perhaps down your path. One of it is how to strike a balance in technology investment for smaller business. And I think that's also coming together with, someone who asked a question around, developing countries. How do we minimize, investment into that? And the second question is, what are the main challenges when integrating new technologies into legacy supply chain systems? Prof. Koh, you want to take that?
Yeah, thanks, Eddie. I think it is a relevant question, not just for developing countries or SME. I think everybody is very cost conscious nowadays. So the ability to translate every dollar invested into real ROI is important. So in the sense of digital technology, it is not just looking at technology itself, but I think the fundamental question to ask is, what are my problems? What are my challenges? And what does it cost me today? Because that cost avoidance will immediately actually motivates, the alternate means of actually trying to solve the problem, and perhaps through digital technology. So for SME or even bigger companies, the question is, how much are my challenges costing me today? If I do not get my delivery in full, my default up, what does it cost? What's my liability to my customer? That got to be the fundamental question. If we run a business with zero liability, okay, let's be absolutely honest here. If we're not penalized for non-performance, then don't bother. Save your money. Laugh your way to the bank. Don't spend a cent on digitalization. It ain't going to be worth your effort. However, I think a lot of us doesn't live in that kind of world. But every mistake, every missed delivery, is actually going to cost us something. So the question to you then is, how much does it cost your business? And onto the legacy system versus new system, that is a constant challenge, managing and harmonizing between the greenfield and brownfield aspect. I think the key is really very much going back to first principle, understanding what do we have today in our brownfield system. If you have an ERP system, okay, if your ERP system is it's processing ASN from the freight forwarders and so on and so forth. Instead of throwing all that away, I think the key thing is how then do you continue to make use of that, looking at new technologies and harmonize it until such point where the legacy system becomes a drag in terms of maintenance, in terms of upkeep, in terms of how you can customize it before you actually make the full pivot over to the new system. What helps today from a technology perspective is that compared to say 20 years ago, a lot of the data are open source. A lot of the protocols are open source compared to say 20 years ago where it's still very proprietary. So the whole industry have actually moved towards a better place for you to actually transit from brownfield to greenfield in terms of digitalization. Eddie, you are muted.
Yes, thanks. Yeah, so no, appreciate that, Prof. I think we're running a little short. So let me sum up what we've learned today from the three speakers, right? Typically, what we are saying is that technology is a very powerful enabler, and with technology today, with the host of tools that are available, there are many things that we can be looking at. And a lot of that, the practical applications will be around, logistic optimization. We're looking at documentation or document automation. We're even looking at safety improvements, right? And as well as doing some kind of, decision support tool with digital twin, virtual twin type technology. It helps you make decision in almost real time. And again, it's a journey. It's not a destination. So it takes time. We take small steps. We move forward. And again, at the end of the day, AI is not the answer for everyone, right? We have to take that very small step. And I think, Prof mentioned very aptly, it's that first step, right? That first step that we have to acknowledge that digital transformation is imperative. We have to take it. However uncomfortable, we have to do it. And that's the only way forward, because if we just sit down and do nothing, then we are guaranteed failure, right? So, on that note, I'd like to thank our three speakers, Yuning, Tahira, and Professor Koh. Thank you very much, and all participants for joining in from all over the world. We'll be having the video put on the website, as well as those questions that we were unable to answer during this webinar. What we will do is we'll put everything together, and then we will, list them on the website again for you. So thank you, everyone, and I hope to see you on the second segment of our webinar, which is due in May, which is next month, right? So thank you very much, everyone.